The X Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Rob McConnell's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the X Zone Radio Show or endorsed in any manner by Rob McConnell, Relmar McConnell Media Company, the X Zone Broadcast Network, its affiliated networks, stations, employees, or advertisers.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And welcome back, everyone. My name is Rob McConnell. This is the X Zone. We're coming to you from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Worldwide toll-free, 1-800-610-7035. Email xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. On MSN Messenger, xzoneradiotv@hotmail.com. And our website, www.xzoneradiotv.com. My guest this hour is Dr. Richard Ruhling, and we're going to be talking about why we're only a natural disaster away from martial law. Now, the end of America as we know it is closer than you think, thanks to the executive order that President Obama signed recently. The president and his cabinet now have the authority to seize all domestic resources, including food, water, energy, and transportation. Even if not at war, the government can forcibly draft Americans into the military or detain anyone without trial if they are perceived as undermining the government. Dr. Richard Ruhling is my guest this hour. He was a board-certified internal medicine and had training in cardiology before teaching at Loma Linda University as an assistant professor of health science 1974 to 1978. He has a master's degree in public health. After leaving the university, he developed Total Health Seminar designed to help people reverse cardiovascular disease with diet and exercise. In recent years, he has authored books available on Amazon.com entitled You Shouldn't Ask Your Doctor. He also published and authored America in Prophecy and an ebook, The Fall of America, which is available on his website, richardruhling.com, covering the topics of current events, Bible prophecy, and patriotism. Joining me now is Dr. Richard Ruhling. And Dr. Ruhling, welcome to the X Zone, sir.
Thank you. Good to be with you, Rob. A great introduction.
Thank you, sir. Tell us a little bit about your medical background before we get into the rest of the interview.
Well, after my medical degree and internship service time, I had an opportunity to go to Africa. A friend said, you'll do more good in Africa if you take some public health. So I went back, and during that year of public health, the opportunity did not materialize, but I was encouraged to take internal medicine, cardiology, and come back and teach, which I did. The dean liked me, and I had a valuable experience while I was at Loma Linda.
What was that experience, sir?
I went to some cardiology meetings, American College of Cardiology, in Anaheim, and I heard a man by the name of Pritikin speak, Nathan Pritikin, and he was showing how that 85% of people got off of their blood pressure medicine on a diet and exercise program. And, of course, I'd prescribed many, many pills and drugs for blood pressure, but 85% of people off the drugs without pills. And then I went visited his center and invited him to speak at Loma Linda. And I could see that people at his center were not only just blood pressure, but heart disease, were reversing it. Since then, Dean Ornish, cardiologist in California, has done the same thing Pritikin did, that as a cardiologist, he could get better credibility. And so he has the cover story of the U.S. News and World Report in August 6th of 1990. And How to Reverse Heart Disease was the title of that article. It's the same information that Pritikin had in the 70s, but it's sad to say the media just fight it because the big establishments fight it, and the big pharma fights it. And the latest thing on big pharma is that the statin drugs have contributed to probably about 60,000 new cases of diabetes type 2, the adult onset type of diabetes. The statins can do that. So how many people are taking statins? Millions of
That's right.
prescriptions in this country.
Doctor, stand
anyway.
by. You and I have to take our first commercial break. We'll be right back in 2 minutes. Exonation, Dr. Richard Ruhling is my special guest this hour. If you'd like to find out more about Dr. Ruhling, here is his website, www.richardruhling.com or www.hollowstrength.com. My name is Rob McConnell. This is The X Zone, a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard, Monday through Friday from 10 p.m. Eastern until 2 a.m. Eastern on the Talkstar Radio Network, X Zone Broadcast Network, UK High Definition Radio, Euro High Definition Radio, and our growing family of broadcast affiliates right across Canada, the United States, Central America, South America, the Caribbean, the Pacific Rim, Asia, India, Africa, and Europe. Dr. Richard Ruhling and I return in 2 minutes. Don't go away. Take a step back in time and discover old Florida cuisine at Marsh Landing Restaurant in Fellsmere. Enjoy delicacies such as frog legs, gator tail, catfish, and swamp cabbage, or enjoy the more traditional cuisine like hand-cut Angus steaks, ribs, and seafood. Join us for breakfast with a southern flair featuring sweet potato pancakes, biscuits and gravy, and much more. Planning a party? Marsh Landing's private dining room can accommodate groups from 8 to 80 people. While you're visiting, enjoy the historic pictures, artifacts, and stories that line the walls. Marsh Landing is truly a unique experience. Marsh Landing Restaurant, 44 North Broadway in historic Fellsmere, or visit marshlandingrestaurant.com. Marsh Landing, Old Florida cuisine at its best. Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X Zone radio show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X Zone broadcast network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365. And welcome back, everyone. Dr. Richard Ruhling is our guest. His website is richardruhling.com, and Ruhling is spelled Ruhling. Tell me, Doctor, how did you go from medicine to writing about, martial law to prophecies?
Well, it was a transition that was gradual. I left Loma Linda in 78, and first of all, my revelation was that while teaching at Loma Linda, I developed headaches. Went to a neurologist who taught medical students, asked him if anything I could eat or drink would be the cause of headaches. He said that would be very rare for my type of headache, and I later learned he didn't know what he was talking about. I went into practice with a group of physicians, one an allergist, and people drove hundreds of miles to see him. So I asked him one day, how many people with headaches can you help? Oh, about 90%, he said. So he tested me, and I would not have believed the foods that I ate that caused headaches because it's not an immediate reaction. You don't eat the food and get a headache. It's kind of on withdrawal, just like people who smoke, and we all know that tobacco is a poison, but they don't get sick when they smoke. They get sick when they try to quit on withdrawal. And that's the way food allergies and tolerance works to the food that you become allergic to. And so my headaches were that way, and when I dropped the foods out, more of a problem. I had executives tell me that sugar bothered their joints. I had another executive tell me cheese bothered his joints. Another executive tell me meat bothered his joints. People don't figure it out, though. For the most part, they will just take the pills. But these executives were smart people and had done it.
So what are you saying, sir, that the food that we're eating today is causing us to be sick?
Many cases it can be. There are a lot of foods are refined. There's chemicals added, etc. And if people have a condition for which the doctor doesn't know the cause, think of what we put into our mouth. Because when we were born, we were normal, didn't have those problems, and over the years we have abused. And I was doing that with wheat, pastries, pastas, love the stuff, but I have become toxic to wheat, etc. And that was you asked me how we got from medical and teaching at Loma Linda to some of the other stuff, and I first went to health, alternative health, and there's real answers there. But the big FDA is trying to close even vitamins down, et cetera. This country is not free. The media is not free. I just appreciate what you're doing. But by and large, if people watching mainstream stuff, they don't get it. And so it was a gradual process. I do see the Bible as big answers, and so my interest in Bible brought me to see some things that fit very well with what we see happening in our country.
Outside of health, sir, what's the most important discovery that you've made?
Well, overall, I would say just what the meaning of words. When I was taking pathology as a sophomore medical student, they said Anderson is the Bible. They went that he was the most authoritative source on pathology. And we have the word biblioteca, which is a Spanish word for library. Well, biblio is a reference to Bible. Bible is a book of actually 66 books. But I'm seeing that the Bible is where it's really at, and I see the answers fitting today's problems more than what you get off of the evening news, and it's ahead of time for the most part. And I could give an example or two.
Sure.
I don't know on the timing. One example, we see a lot of stuff in the Middle East, the war with radical Muslims. We think they bombed our World Trade Center, which, by the way, not sure. Clearly, some of that has something to do, but if you go to YouTube and you type in World Trade Center, Building 7 or something like that, there's a lot of unanswered questions that we really, the government has not been forthright, and the media didn't give it to us straight either. And
how do we know that? How do we know that the media didn't give it to us straight? Like, it's easy to blame the media for a lot of things, and yet you, sir, have contacted the media in order to promote your books.
Well, I didn't contact you. You contacted me.
Well, sir,
that alternate media is good. I think that radio talk is good and is open to an opinion.
Sir, I'd just like to get this straight. You advertised in a publication that goes out to every major media source in the United States and Canada.
Right.
So if you're against if you're against the media, sir, why would you go that route?
Well, I would say that I'm looking for alternatives or interested in something that's a little different than what you hear usually. And I believe that even as the Bible says, in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses, something is established. But a lot of times you get the same story, and there's a lockout on certain types of information. And I do see, when you say, how do I know about World Trade Center? Yeah. I, within the past 24 hours, looked at something. If you go to YouTube and type in Stubblebine, it's like stubble, but B-I-N-E at the end. He was an attorney general. I mean, not attorney general, but colonel and general of intelligence for the United States and the Pentagon. And you could listen to his statement. He's the first one up on YouTube if you type in his name and listen to his comments on 9/11.
All right, sir, but you don't have any firsthand information to substantiate that claim, other than watching it on YouTube. Other than watching it on YouTube.
But if you let me give you something that I do have a little background on.
Okay.
If I could.
Sure.
Okay. If you were watching the Branch Davidians, you saw the Washington Post and the LA Times both had information about CS tear gas being flammable that was injected into the building. And I saw with my own eyes on a YouTube a tank backing away with smoke coming from its flame-throwing nozzle. And so those people were basically murdered, and those records were stored in Oklahoma City. And how convenient 2 years later that the records, so that no prosecution could be done, were blown into smithereens with 170 people besides. And Patriot experts in demolition visited the scene, found explosive columns down underneath the building, or the whole building would have come down. There was parts of the building across the street behind the truck bomb in front. So how did the truck bomb do that? You see, big questions. There was more than one explosive caught on seismograph, but bottom line, it's all been kind of swept under the carpet, and Clinton used it as an opportunity to get funding, millions of dollars for FEMA anti-terrorism, when the terrorism is, guess where it's coming from? We don't know, but FEMA was in New York City for 9/11 before the event happened.
Tell me.
So how do, go ahead.
Tell me, Doctor, why are you against the government?
I'm not against good government.
Why are you against the current government?
A lot of things are happening that make us wonder where is the government at?
Is it possible, sir, that the perpetrators of these acts are actually misguiding people like yourself through the biggest septic tank that has ever been created, called the Internet, to put the blame on the government and keep suspicion away from themselves?
Well, you will have to consider that possibility, I guess. It all depends on who we're listening to.
That's
but
true.
I've listened to Stubblebine, who was a colonel and a general of intelligence, and I'm reflecting some of the things he said, which I already believe from other testimonies. He said he didn't. In intelligence, you don't just believe one witness. You get several facts before you act ahead of time. And I think I'm fitting together several perspectives, part of which was my own witness and exposure to people who are patriotic in nature.
Patriotic, or are they so paranoid that anything that they can't understand in their own feebleness has to be a conspiracy?
Well, some of what they used to say was conspiracy is now out in the open. The idea of the Bilderbergers, and now they have meetings that you can't hide it anymore, and it was in the papers. But not a lot. It's a secret group. You can go to Wikipedia and read about Bilderbergers. It's a group of 120 to 140 people. Yeah. 1/3 of them are government leaders, and 2/3 are financiers, rich men.
Okay.
And when they drive into Chantilly, the hotel, they hide their faces so that nobody can see who's there.
Well, because
and they don't let in.
Isn't it possible because of all the public scrutiny and the public through the Internet has turned everyone into a member of the paparazzi, for goodness sake? Nobody has privacy anymore thanks to the Internet and the morons who believe it more than they do the Bible.
Well, there's a wide range of how to look at the information, and you can put it together more than one way. I'm just saying, I'm seeing, if you give me a chance, I would say that early Americans understood Revelation 13 as the first beast being the papacy, the old world order that they fled and came to this country. Second beast, a lamb-like beast, represented America. Some people don't know whether America is in prophecy or in the Bible or not, but it's lamb-like. The lamb is a symbol of Christ, peaceful, gentle, etc. But this lamb-like beast suddenly speaks like a dragon and causes fire to come down from heaven. Fire being nuclear, maybe, Hiroshima, Nagasaki, and speaking like a dragon in the legislation that we're now making, whereas you yourself referred at the beginning of the program to the NDAA, where we can take our own citizens and without trial, etc., put them in jail and without due process, if they're perceived to be an enemy of the state. And some of what I'm saying here could not be, I couldn't speak out against Obama at a rally where the Secret Service is, because I could be put in jail for a year as a felony, and that's huge trouble for free speech, etc. Things are changing rapidly in America, and I see that picture fitting Revelation 13 very well.
Free speech is one thing, but blatant libelous slander is a totally different thing. And I think that a lot of people take free speech to the outer limits. I really do. I think that, there's a line to be drawn. And if people don't want to draw that line on their own, then somebody has to draw it for them. We'll be back on the other side of this commercial break as the X Zone continues. Don't go away.
This is the X Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan, and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember, 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365. Exonation Dr. Richard Ruhling is our guest. His website is richardruhling.com, and Ruhling is spelled Ruhling. Doctor, you say that FEMA has 600 camps that are being activated to handle detainees. You point at the New World Order as being behind this. How can FEMA get away with this?
Well, actually, the camps were originated back in the 80s under Reagan as Rex 84, and they were originally intended to be for illegal aliens. But we've got so many illegal aliens in our country now, it could easily be for something else, and you citing the NDAA, which allows them to take citizens, and some of the talk under Homeland Security documents would include gun rights activists, pro-life activists, constitutional people, some returning veterans, some people like myself and believing in Bible prophecy as enemies of the New World Order and potential legal, the word is domestic terrorists, potentially, could be detained, interrogated, maybe in for re-education, don't know, but really not wanting to go there to find out. Mm-hmm. So I would just say a lot of things are hard to understand right now, but we could be getting, I'm seeing in Matthew 24, Christ's words when he said, when you see the abomination of desolation, to flee to the hills. The early believers understood that was military force, and when Rome came in 66 A.D., the Christians got out of there and they were spared a horrible siege that the Jews experienced a few years later by Titus. I believe that a single big, huge event could usher in martial law and be the military force that Christ was referring to, that people should not expose themselves to, but go to the hills, get out in the country, go further out. I'm living in a rural area of Arizona, and not worried about it right now, but I will be an interested observer of what's coming, because I think things are coming to this country, and we're in for some heavy, difficult times.
You say you believe the government is capable of causing earthquakes and hurricanes to initiate a state of emergency as the basis for martial law suspending your constitutional rights. How is the government going to cause an earthquake?
I was in a dental office after 1995. The September issue is about, the title of the cover story was Killer Storms Are Coming. Mm-hmm. And I saw pictures of microwave towers in Alaska. There's acres of them. It was called a little-known Pentagon project, and the scientists reporting on it said that this is potential global vandalism and that we open discussion. But there was no open discussion about what they were doing and their plans. And since then, we have had killer storms. And we've seen 2011 was a record year for costs for insurance companies on hurricanes, etc.
But what about global warming? Doesn't global warming play into this as well? Like, isn't it possible that it has nothing to do with the HARP project that is a massive antenna array up in Alaska, and that could actually have something to do with global warming, the havoc that we are causing on this planet ourselves, each and every one of us who drive a car, as a matter of fact?
Well, quite possibly that there's a factor in that, and of course that's been debated, and some people have debunked it, and I'm not really on the cutting edge of whether it is or isn't, but I do know that what I'm describing to you has been witnessed by even Jesse Ventura, former governor of Minnesota, who went up to Alaska and took pictures, and you can read some of his, go to YouTube.
Yeah, but Jesse's a loose cannon. Like, how the hell he ever got to be a governor, God only knows. But, I wouldn't trust that guy with a $2 bill in his pocket.
Well, but in the mouth of two or three witnesses, you get several who have, and I've seen photographs of the place before I ever saw Jesse Ventura.
Okay, no,
but
Harp
he's now living in Mexico, and he must know something that is potentially dangerous for him.
It's either that or look, Harp is no secret. I hate to be the bearer of bad news to all you conspiracy nuts out there, but Harp is not a secret.
That's right. You can go to YouTube, type in HAARP, and everybody can make up their own mind as to whether there's something strange and different about what's happening. But I personally,
YouTube, for the majority of cases, is not real. It's consisted of a bunch of yahoos who have nothing better to do with their time than to make up their videos, put them up there, and give themselves a little 5 or 6 minutes worth of glory.
Except I did see this in a magazine, Popular Science, September issue, 1995,
but
long before YouTube
Like
came
I was
along.
saying, sir, going back that far, Harp was not a secret. It's only since the advent of the YouTube and the other people that are posting garbage on the internet where all this information is being misconstrued, and there's a lot of fear-mongering out there.
Okay, but there are scientists, and I've seen the statement of scientists, more than one, who say, and by the way, Stubblebine also, he has made a statement about Japan being man-made, okay? So he's the head of intelligence for the CIA back some couple decades back, but yeah, I believe it. And
Japan
it's who you want to believe that counts.
Japan being man-made? What did you mean by that?
The earthquake, if you go to YouTube and you think it's baloney, but Benjamin Fulford, Fulford, type in his name along with Japan and watch his video. He's giving testimony that he asked the Japanese why they were going to go along with the European oligarchs on the financial question and merging their money, and they said, well, we were threatened with an earthquake machine. That was his testimony. He couldn't believe it, but because he went public, they were 2 days later. They were hit with an earthquake on their Fukushima place, and so it was very interesting the timing of his discussion with him.
You say the November presidential election may never take place.
I think when the heat got hot for Clinton, the USS Cole blew up, over Monica Lewinsky, and I believe that this administration is not stupid. And if things don't look good, we could be into martial law, which will take us beyond those elections, and no elections need be done. I say that's a possibility. I don't say it will, but I personally wonder about if it does. You heard it first here, maybe.
I'd just like to point out something here, that there are a lot of good videos on YouTube by a lot of credible people. So I didn't mean to throw the credible in with the wackos that are out there. I just wanted to make that clear. It's just like anyone with $10 can buy a domain name. They can get their website posted for free if they want all the advertising crap on it. That doesn't mean it's real, X-Zone Nation. There's a lot of deceit. There's a lot of turmoil being caused by the people who write on the internet and the people who self-publish. It's a lot of turmoil, it's a lot of garbage, and you've got to be very careful. One thing the internet doesn't have that makes it the biggest cesspool in the world is the lack of credible journalism on it. Anyway, that's just my opinion. So why do you think the United States is in such bad condition? And is it because of the leadership? Is it because of the elected officials?
I think personally that John F. Kennedy was a great man, and he made a few unfortunate statements early so that they knew what he was going to do to get rid of the IRS, et cetera, Federal Reserve, maybe I should say, and they got him. And I think every president since then has been threatened if they got out of line, and they toe the line. I believe that we have been steadily, since Reagan appointed an ambassador to the Vatican, we've been moving toward global government, and in Revelation 17, you see a picture, prophetic picture of a woman in Bible prophecy depicted as a church, but she's sitting on 7 hills, Rome being known as a city of 7 hills, and it says, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication. It's a church involved with politics. She's decked with gold and jewel and precious stones. She's a wealthy church. It says, drunken with the blood of saints. Yes, it's been a persecuting church historically. And she's riding this beast of New World Order. It was the beast that in Revelation 13, the lamb-like beast, makes an image or look-alike to the previous Old World Order. We're making New World Order, and then the Pope is going to be ultimately in charge as a moral person, etc. And you have to look at history to believe what's really going to be coming about, but the Bible describes it as a bad thing, basically. And I think that's the big picture. Mm-hmm. I believe we're almost there because, and I'll give you the real clincher in this, is that in Isaiah 46:10, God says he declares the end from the beginning. Well, in the book of beginnings, Abraham is tested over his willingness to sacrifice his son Isaac. The Muslims believe it was Ishmael. So which is the true holy book? We don't know. But in Daniel 8, there is a interesting, let me back up. Ishmael or Isaac were spared by the sacrifice of a ram. They found a ram in the thicket. But in Daniel 8, a ram is smacked by a goat flying from the west. And historically, this is, it says there in the Bible, Daniel 8, verse 20, that the horns are the kings of Media and Persia, but today they're Iraq and Iran. And so we are, and Gabriel says this vision is at the time of the end. So a lot of times previous scholars have thought this was about Alexander the Great and the Medes and Persians historically, but I'm seeing that the Bible has a double application, once also for the end. And we've broken the horn of Iraq. We're going to do it for Iran. It will be a bigger deal, as implied by the Bible in Daniel 8. But this is the time of the end, and lots of things are happening, and so is the book of Revelation for the time of the end. Things are not going to go on and on and on. I personally don't think that the economy is going to heal and get great. I think we are in woes, or as it says in James 5, the rich men are going to
hold on here. Let's just slow down. I don't mind.
Right. Okay.
It's great to quote the Bible. It's really great. Hats off to you for doing that. But the Bible is only as good as the perception of the person who reads it. If you go in with a tainted mind, you'll come out with a tainted tale.
Probably so.
So what you're
with a tainted mind.
So what you're doing is you're putting your own interpretation based on your own personal beliefs onto what you're reading.
For 25 years, I have gone to Bible conferences and seminars seeking to learn, and so it's not an effort to make it into any one thing, but I've submitted myself to evidence and looked at it, and I believe the picture that I'm seeing that has been explained to me makes good sense, and it fits with history. It fits with what we see happening today.
In your eyes, and in the eyes of the people who taught you or explained it to you. But that doesn't mean everyone else who reads the Bible sees it the same way you do. I've had hundreds of people on the show over the last 20 years who put a positive spin on everything in the Bible, including in the book of Revelations. And I get very weary and I get very suspicious of people who put negative spins on everything.
Well, I wouldn't say it's negative. It's just actual reality of it.
In whose eyes is it real?
It should be in our eyes. If we are looking at it, we should believe the Bible as God's Word and study it for ourselves, because I think our life does depend on it.
So wait a minute, we're supposed to put our entire faith in a mythological character into a book that was written hundreds of years ago when there was no knowledge as we know it today, and take it for verbatim? Something's wrong with this picture.
Well, the real debate might be then if you think it's a book of mythological character, because I see it quite different. I see.
But that is your belief.
Well, and evolution is a belief also. They have not proven anything. It started as a theory of evolution, and just today I looked at a DVD that offers 9 different little animals that really refute evolution. They have things that a certain woodpecker that had to have been uniquely made with all of his adaptations. He couldn't have developed this adaptation, that adaptation. He couldn't have survived till he'd had all of these adaptations that enabled him to get his food. It's all how you want to look at it, but I see evidence, and I've done, we have to decide for ourselves, but I think there's good evidence. If the world exploded off the sun, Why are we have all nicely rounded objects, not jagged stuff? And how does this Earth happen to be so different from every other barren thing circling our sun?
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on here. I must have gone to different astronomy courses than you did, because I remember seeing NASA footage from the robots that are on the Mars, and there's some pretty jagged. There's some pretty jagged mountains there, and the moon certainly has jagged craters. So, who's right, you or NASA?
But if there was an explosion on the sun, would you expect them all to be rounded spheres as they look at it through a telescope from here? The moon is so round. Every other Jupiter, you see the pictures in the books. Why did all these round objects come from the sun, and how did they come to?
All right, we've got to take a commercial break. We'll be back in a couple of minutes. Don't go away.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Sergeant Central. 19 Sergeant check. Officers on the scene.
Hi, I'm Larry Lawson, host of Paranormal Stakeout. With over 36 years in law enforcement, I have learned a few things. The most important is the proper gathering and preservation of evidence is vital to putting the bad guy behind bars. It's no different in the world of paranormal investigation. Whether it's the search for the afterlife, cryptozoology, UFOs, and extraterrestrials, how we gather the evidence, preserve that evidence, and present it to a jury of our peers will make the ultimate difference in proving the existence of worlds and entities that are beyond our imagination. Join me, Larry Lawson, every week on Paranormal Stakeout when, along with my guests, we'll take a journey to prove with indisputable evidence what man has struggled to believe for centuries. Go to xzbn.net for the broadcast schedule and check me out at paranormalstakeout.com.
There we go. This one here certainly goes on to the order of X-Zone woo-woos. My God. What a negative guy. Dr. Richard Ruhling was my guest. Craig, during the commercial break, decided, enough. So the good doctor has left the building. Here he said that he's against the media, this, that, and the other thing. The media is basically bad. We only tell one side of the story. We're controlled by the major corporations, and yet he put his entire pitch into a very well-known and well-respected publication that goes out to all talk show hosts and all radio TV stations. And the pitch is, expert reveals why we're only a natural disaster away from martial law. The end of America as we know it is closer than you think. Thanks to the executive order that President Obama signed recently, the president and his cabinet now have the authority to seize all domestic resources, including food, water, energy, and transportation. Even if not at war, the government can forcibly draft Americans into the military or detain anyone without trial if they are perceived as undermining the government. Well, I know he thinks that's a bad thing, but you know what? I think it's a good thing. I really do. Freedom of speech, freedom of this, freedom of that has been gone and taken beyond the limits. And people who exceed those limits have no one to blame but themselves. I'm sorry. All you have to keep on doing is remembering that it's for the people, by the people. And if you're not satisfied with the way your government is run, you still have the ability to vote. You still have the ability to make changes. Don't go on the internet, get on your little, virtual box and start praising and teaching and using the Bible as your crutch and using the Bible as your source of information. Get the facts. If you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. And if you just want to stay in your little virtual world, write your virtual little ebooks, sell books on Amazon because you can't get a credible publisher to publish anything that you write because it's crap, that's up to you. However, don't take other people down with you. You've got the right to free speech. You've got the right to do a lot of great things that other countries don't have. And yet, it's these people who use those very rights against the government that, well, you know what, gives you a better life than a lot of places on this planet. That's the fact. So, without ado, that's why another one bit the dust here on the X Zone Radio Show. Send me your comments, xzone at xzoneradiotv.com. Hey, you don't have to agree with me. But when it comes to people stepping on people, fear-mongering, bad-talking, and, criticizing without doing anything about it besides watching YouTube. Oh, my God, it's got to be real. It was on YouTube, or I saw it in the internet. Come on, grow up, get real. My name's Rob McConnell. This is the X Zone, a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. And you know what? I've got the right to dare, and I've got the right to believe as well. I'll be back on the other side of this commercial break with the news at 6.5 minutes past as the X Zone continues from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away.